Basically from the time I was 21 until I was 38, it was a big roller coaster, off and on opiates, heroin, pills, fentanyl.
I didn't really care to drink much. It was weed, and then it was pills, and then coke, and then heroin.
Broke my arm in 5 places, and of course at that time the doctors gave you as much pain pills as you wanted, and woke up one day and didn't have them and was sick.
I knew I was in deep trouble because I could not stop, and I was getting so deathly sick every time I tried to stop.
I had to do the heroin every day because I was sick, but if you put anything else in front of me, I was going to do it too, just to make all the pain go away.
It kind of spiraled out, I just experimented with this and that, and just whatever was in season, I tried it.
I didn't really want to do drugs. I didn't want to have any feeling.
It wasn't until I first started using drugs that I found, the relief that I thought that I needed.
Just kept trying to fill my life with other things, women, drugs, alcohol, turned with lying, manipulation, cheating, stealing.
Staying in the woods, just people's couches just all over. Never really had a house, maintained that or anything, just using and abusing.
Stealing from work, stealing from my parents, stealing from whoever I could just to pay, because the money I was making wasn't enough to feed my addiction.
The constant everyday lifestyle of trying to get high, it couldn't last no longer without something breaking.
I was just such a selfish individual. It was all about me, so much so that I'd missed out like 20 years of my kids.
I wasn't always a bad dad. I was, tried to be there for them until, again, once the drug started, I lost everything.
My ex-wife, told me that I couldn't see my kids anymore. So after that, I just stayed in, I call them trap houses.
My family had had enough and rendered myself homeless, living out of my car.
I tried to quit on my own several times and succeeded for a couple hours and it never worked. Basically, my whole adult life has been, has revolved around recovery or seeking after recovery.
I had done everything, every avenue, but I just still hadn't turned to God and said, ask for help. And my daughter came to me and said, Dad, the Refuge, it'll change your life.
I texted my brother and I said, I'll go to the Refuge if you'll help me.
The whole time in the church, I was hoping I wouldn't get accepted.
Sitting up there in that front pew, just scared to death, kept thinking, they ain't gonna accept me. I'm too wild, I got too much wrong, they ain't gonna accept me, I don't belong here, it's just too much.
To come into church and see people that were just as broken as I was, or, you see guys that look really good and say, man, I've only been here for 30 days. That was amazing to me, and that's something that I wanted.
I've never had a bunch of guys, hugging up on me and all that stuff. It was weird.
The love and all that, I hadn't had a lot of that. So that was hard for me at first to understand that.
But it was a very calming sensation to hear them talk and let them know that they had been through some of the very similar things that we have been through, the same experiences.
And things started to make sense, and it started to become clear that, that God was working through these people and that God had his hand over that house.
Right away, I noticed that it was just different. The presence of God was definitely alive here.
God had kept his hand over me. Times I look back, when I thought he wasn't with me throughout my addiction and everything, I start to realize the more I read and believed in the Bible and believed that Jesus Christ was sent to die for my sins, the more I started to believe in that, the more I could look back and see where he had his hand over me, because there's plenty of times I should have died.
When I came into the Refuge and got to, my family days came, the visits, them showing up for me, it meant a lot, because there was a lot of times I never showed up for them.
I didn't expect my kids to show up. I didn't even know that my ex-wife was gonna bring my kids. And it was awesome. It was very awesome. Best feeling I've had in a long while. I never thought I'd ever see my kids.
My daughter, before I come in, said she hated my guts. I hadn't talked to my son in probably 2 years. Second family day, my daughter and son both showed up with just to see what God can do for us, what we can't do for ourselves, just by submitting and being obedient. Those relationships are restored.
We were together for 9 years before I came in here, and you know, I put her through a lot, and she stuck with me.
I think once I seen where the other coordinators before me, how well they done and how they impacted my life, I wanted to be that for the other guys behind me.
Just being able to give back what was so freely given to me by all the guys that, you know, they helped pour into me, and I want to be able to give that back to the guys.
I came here to figure out my purpose. I came here to figure out where God wanted me to be in life. So when someone asks me to do kingdom work, I'm down for it.
We're just very excited to, you know, start this new path and having, you know, Christ as the center instead of ourselves. Some of the guys from the Refuge made it to the wedding, and you know, they were the loudest ones there.
Now, being the father that I am now is the best feeling in the world, knowing that I can provide for them again and you know, be there.
Majority of the people I graduated high school with are in jail or dead. So for me, like, the Refuge brought me and gave me a community I never had. You know, these guys that I've been in here with are family now.
It showed me that God is right there behind us at all times. It has shown me that there is a brotherhood out there that's willing to lift you up when you fall.
That accountability, my brothers that I've come up with here, I need that in my life.
To have people beside of you that's been through the same thing you have, and there's no judgment, there's no condemnation. We don't look down upon each other, you know. That's the biggest thing I'll take from here.
The guys here hold you to a different standard than what you're used to living, and it changes your entire life.
What's gotten me through the 13 months and stay committed to this thing is knowing that, you know, that the Spirit of God is alive here.
I was at the end. I couldn't do anything without help from the Refuge, and I know that that help is ultimately coming from God.